that. And so if I am so focused on staying on the line, I can't fulfill my assignment. But my God is big enough to handle my fault, my strokes, grubs, my mess ups, because he's already prepared for what I might do. He knows what I'm going to do before I do it, and he already made preparation for me before I get there. What follows darkness is light. That darkness is the indicator that light is getting ready to shine. So there it is in Genesis, when darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God in the spirit form moved upon the face of the waters, and then God said, let there be. Because darkness precedes the light. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But he needs the darkness there so that God can move upon the face of the deep, so that the shift can take place. Listen, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor that shift take place in the darkness. Oh God, y'all didn't hear what I just said. Everybody's not going to see the shift that's happening. They see the chaos, but they don't see the shift. They see all the craziness going on in your life, but they don't understand that underneath the darkness, God is moving in secret. He's moving in quiet. He's moving in the hidden places. He's moving in the cracks and the corners and the crevices. He's moving in places that you cannot see. And when the light comes, they're going to see a new order. But untying. And so the universe then has no choice. First attribute of the secret place. The secret place is a place of revelation. It makes you free because it awakens you and makes you consciously aware that everything that you thought was holding you is an illusion. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Emerge Empowerment Session, where we are empowering you on your journey towards spiritual wholeness. I'm so glad that you decided to join me for this conscious conversation. This is a critically important conversation that we're going to have tonight. I've been posting about it all day long, putting up little notices here and there. Sent out the text messages to all of the partners and everybody that signed up. And so I want to give a few more minutes, just give a little more time for others to be able to jump onto this broadcast so that we can have a wide-reaching, robust conversation tonight. I did have two pastors that have chose to be a part of the conversation to participate with us tonight, and I am so grateful for both of them. Being willing to come and participate, share their heart, their point of view, their perspective as we talk about Christianity in chaos tonight. And so those of you who are on with me right now, I'm going to ask you to please take a moment and tag and share this broadcast. Share it on your page. Tag as many people as you possibly can. Now, I've been made aware of the fact that there are those who will actually view the broadcast or view the live just by scrolling by and then turning on the sound without actually jumping on, so that they'll show up, on the screen as watching. And that's okay if that's the way you choose to watch, then that's fine. We're glad to have you still, but we'd invite you to go ahead and just click on the actual live so that you can show up in the numbers as well. And we'll know you're there. That's the only way you're going to be able to comment. And I do want you to share your comments, even though you may not be on the live platform as a guest, then you will still participate in the conversation by writing your comments. And I will bring your comments up on screen so that we're able to read them and hear your views and answer any questions that you might have concerning it. So I'm looking forward to having this conversation. It is one that has been on my mind for a while, and then recent events just kind of, I guess, caused it to bubble over, and I'm concerned. I am crucially, vitally concerned about what I see unfolding, what I see happening in the realm of Christianity. And I want to say from the onset or from the top, before I give any further opening statements, I want to say that I am not in any way anti-Christian, picking on Christianity, picking on preachers, picking on the church, or anything like that. I am not anti anything. I am for people. But I'm speaking, and it's not as though Christianity is the only religious ideology or practice or sect that is experiencing some type of crisis. But I am most familiar with Christianity, even though I am familiar with other religions as well. I am most familiar with Christianity because it's what I was raised in, what I was brought up in, and what I have primarily done my scholarly study in. And so I'm going to address some of those issues. But not only that, but Christianity is by far today, it is by far the largest, most influential religious, organized religion in the world. It is by far the largest and most influential organized religion in the world. There is a concept called the 7 mountains of influence that covers everything from media to entertainment to government and education and religion and so on and so forth. and these being the seven mountains or seven pillars or seven areas within human society that really influence society, humanity, and the culture. And Christianity is prominent in every single one of those mountains. It's only been in recent years, and it's still very scarce, that you start to see the influence of other religious ideologies, even displayed, felt, or acknowledged in those areas. For the most part, especially here in the United States, but as well around the world, in Europe and Asia and other parts of the world, the influence of Christianity is prominently felt throughout the world. And so it has more of a hold, more of an influence, more of an impact on the general society and all of humanity than anything else. It is felt prominently in government, in media, in entertainment, in academics, in the educational world, in the social construct and contract that we all make and have had with each other. And so when it begins to experience such a humongous, chaotic crisis, then it's something that we need to certainly pay attention to. And I've become very alarmed at the number of people that I know personally that are really focused on, if I can say, the cotton candy of Christianity, and the shout, the dance, the run, the speak in tongues, the prophesy, and houses, cars, and lands, and money, and this, that, and God getting ready to turn it around and fix it and use it, and you gonna elevate you and open doors and da 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 da, and the world is going to hell in a handbasket, and things are falling apart all around us, and they are falling apart under the watch of Christianity. And Christianity is not a innocent bystander or observer, but is actually the progenitor of a lot of the decay that we are seeing happening in humanity, in society at large, is the result and the residual effect of much of the dogma that has come out of Christianity. And I'm already getting started. And I was trying to just, kind of talk a little bit because I'm still waiting for my guests to come up on screen so that I can introduce them and bring them into the conversation. Hopefully they didn't change their mind and decide not to participate. I'm waiting for them to show up in the back room of the studio so I can bring them onto the screen. But I do want to begin by saying, again, that when I say that Christianity has become, is the progenitor the initiator, and it has created such humongous impact in the entire global society that is humanity, I mean exactly what I'm saying. There is no other organized religion that has as much of an impact and an influence in the world as Christianity. And there has been like a slow moving, unfolding current that has been taking place for centuries, dare I say millennia, leading up to this particular moment. And we can, try and pretend that it's not happening, pretend that we don't see it, pretend that it's not there, but it does not make it go away because we try and pretend it's not there. There is a humongous elephant in the room, and that is there is a problem with Christianity. Recent events unfolding in Christianity that are inextricably tied to the historical events that is the substratum or the foundation upon which Christianity is built. It makes it impossible for any critical thinking individual to observe all of this and not immediately see these bright flashing red neon lights saying that something is intrinsically wrong with what's going on in the country, in the world, in society, and in humanity. And I made a statement this morning when I made this post that I know was provocative. I know it was controversial for some people. I meant for it to be so, but I also meant exactly what I said, that Christianity is becoming an existential threat to humanity. I know. Take a deep breath. You're going to be okay. Christianity, and that is not to excuse Islam, it's not to excuse Hinduism, it's not to excuse Buddhism or any of the other religious ideologies, as I said before, but I am most familiar with and the most influential in the world is Christianity. And Christianity is becoming an existential threat to humanity. Now, let me explain what I mean. Every religion, and those of you who have listened to me teach before know that what I'm about to say. Every religion in its infancy, in its origin, had a pure motive and intent. The entire reason around the creation of both Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, Taoism, and every other ism that you can think of, at their genesis, their intent was to be a vehicle through which people, humanity, could reconnect with God and consequently their own divinity. Rediscover their own divinity, embrace that spirituality, that isness, that part of them, that isness of them, that is God. That is at the basis of every spiritual religious organization at its genesis. The same is true with Christianity. Unfortunately, Christianity began early on, millennia ago, to be infected and polluted by men. And when I say men, I mean that both in the literal sense as well as in the general sense of mankind. But initially it was men, males, who got their hands on this thing called Christianity and began to see as it grew and flourished and began to spread throughout the known population at the time, and saw that this was a tool that they could use in order to empower themselves. And in using it, changing the natural order, changing the original intent, and then now polluting it and reconstructing it so that it would be a vehicle through which they could promote their own agenda, Are you hearing what I'm saying? Then they began to build a system that is unrecognizable to the original intent. Christianity at its core used Jesus as its advocate, go between, its physical representation of God in the flesh. To what? To demonstrate the divinity of mankind and the love of God for all humanity. Then men got their hands on it and began to take that and to add their own ideas, their own concepts, their own egoic nature into it, and began to create an idea, a religious ideology that is far removed from the original intent. As a result of this, ladies and gentlemen, as a result of this, you created an organism, a system, a vehicle or mechanism that began its journey through the historical oracles of time, destroying, harming, torturing, bloodying, executing, murdering thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people, because when the egoic nature decides to enter into the spiritual arena to create a system or contraption for manipulation and control, then that manipulation and control demands that every person adhere to it and cannot tolerate any diversity of thought. Thus, out of this, Christianity for millennia has had its hands bloodied. I said it, and I'm going to say it again. Filled with blood, more than Islam, and even in every religion has had their wars. They call them holy wars. Islam, Judaism, Buddhism, Hinduism. There have been wars in every religious sect. And believe it or not, check me out if you want to check it and see, do some historical research. Just about every war that has been fought in the world has been fought over religion. Religion was the culprit, was the underlying reason. The wars that took place, what has taken place for centuries and millennia in Islam, is a religious war. Some call it Cain and Abel, Isaac and Ishmael, but the two different sects of Islam fighting each other over Jerusalem, over the Holy Land, both saying that we both have a God-given right to this particular territory. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that didn't start with Islam. It also branched out and was a part of Christianity. We know this from the Crusades that began around 1046 and lasted for over 400 years, and the Inquisitions, which began the Inquisition was an office created within Catholicism that began in the early 1200s and lasted all the way to the 1700s. For almost 500 years. And for those of you who may not be aware of it, the Inquisitions were put in place because the Catholic Church, Christianity, demanded strict adherence to the guidelines, rules, teachings, dogma, and the legalism of the Christian church. And that if you did not align yourself with it, you were accused of heresy and you would be tortured and beaten and executed. Just the Spanish Inquisition alone, over 30,000 people. It lasted for 200 years. Over 30,000 people were executed in the name of the Lord, in Jesus' name. Y'all, I know y'all don't like hearing that. That's what I said. They were executed in Jesus's name through the Catholic Church. Over 30,000 people. This has continued on through the centuries. That branched off and began to metastasize and spread off into different branches. Around about the 14th century, you had Martin Luther, who tried to bring some level of reformation to the church, but even that was polluted and poisoned by the religious ideologies of his time as well. He tried to make small progress, but it wasn't huge progress, and even that was met with resistance. Why? Because whenever you start to fiddle with the mechanisms of control and manipulation that enhances the power of those who are in authority, then you run into stern resistance. That resistance began to mushroom and grow and change and devolve. I'm not saying evolved, devolve into other things like white nationalism or white supremacy. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because it was purely from the European aspect at that particular time. White nationalism, white supremacy, support for slavery, what they call holy wars, and Christian terrorism. That, at least that's what I call it. It is terrorism that has taken place for centuries. But ladies and gentlemen, had it just been limited to one particular culture, race, or people, then that would be one thing. But as I said, Christianity is the largest and most influential religion in the world. It was then forged upon African people, especially here in the Americas as well as in Europe, but it had a different effect. It affected the mindset of those who were European and white and gave them a sense of superiority because they implanted themselves in the positions of power and edited a book that was written for us, by us, to completely eliminate us from the book and make all of the majestic characters from Jesus to Moses white. It was whitewashed. And I'm not trying to get into, the Afrocentric parts of it. I'm just giving you a history lesson to bring us up to today. And so they received a sense of superiority from this particular ideology. But when introduced to Africans, to our ancestors, then we were taught to believe that since all of the progenitors and the patriarchs and the great leaders of Christianity were white, then we were to be subservient. And it produced within the Black culture, a Black mindset, not just in the Americas, but all around the world, globally, this idea of being subservient and servile, obsequious, and that victim mentality. That, after a while, by and by, leaning and depending on Jesus, he gonna bring us out, swing low, sweet chariot, coming to carry us home. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And so now here we are in the 21st century, where we see the rise of white nationalism again, the rise of in the white evangelical church, charismatic church, Southern Baptist church, this idea of superiority and supremacy, and we see continuing, but at a much greater level and even more intensified within the Black church, this idea of subservience and God as Santa Claus, who's going to bring me lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? And watch this. And then perpetuating the same idea, the same torture that our ancestors were put under, that is being subservient. So we created a system within the Black church of subservience as well. We call them armor bearers, adjutants, and y'all ain't gonna holler back at me, and congregants, and don't you question your pastor, don't you question the bishop, don't you touch not God's anointed, and do his prophets no harm. Don't even know what the text means, but you understand what I'm saying? And created this narrative, and so now you got a whole slew of us. Are you understanding? A part of a system that is built upon manipulation and control. And recent events show us that it has gotten so chaotic and out of control that we are headed toward a cliff. And if we don't address what's really going on, if we keep shouting, dancing, speaking in tongues, rolling and spitting bubbles, if we keep pretending as though we don't see what's really happening, and just having conference after conference, revival after revival, church service after church service, and laying hands and folk walling and falling out and everything else, and still not getting the correct mindset, economic empowerment, spiritual empowerment, community empowerment. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Then we're going to be in some serious trouble. And that's where we find ourselves right now. I see one of my guests has shown up. Thank goodness. He just stepped off camera, so I'm going to give him a minute to come back, and then I'll bring him on. I will bring him on. Okay? And so when I make the statement that Christianity is becoming an existential threat, I'm saying it because it's like a cancer that is metastasizing and going off into all of the different vital organs of the body that is humanity. And if we're not careful, the patient's going to die. I am so glad to have this brother come on, and he agreed to come and share his heart and to speak his truth and give us his perspective. I've known him for, I don't even know how many years it's been, Bishop. It's been for a very, very long time. I'd say at least 25 or 30 years. A tremendous brother. I love him dearly. I want you to welcome Bishop McBride. There he is. Bishop.
Grace and peace.
Hey, man. I'm glad that you are here. I don't know how much of my opening statements did you hear, so but I do want to, if you are ready to contribute now, I'd really like to hear your perspective about where we are and what's taking place, or if you take issue with any of the things that I said.
Well, for me, just to be totally honest with you, I'm just coming in because I was in my Bible study, but
Okay.
I just come to sit and actually glean. I really don't have per se input. I just wanted to hear what you were saying and to get a better understanding of where you were coming from.
Okay. So, as I said, those of you who are watching, and as well as others, and Bishop McBride, you can feel free to chime in, man, free flowing, at any time. Don't feel like you're interrupted or anything else like that. I want you to really just feel free to just speak, okay?
Okay.
That if we don't address the serious issues that are metastasizing where Christianity is concerned, there is absolutely no doubt that we are seeing a mass exodus of people who are leaving. And I have spoken to so many different people where I have heard the same general phrase. I'm going to use my phraseology, but it's every person I've spoken to has said something along these lines. I had to leave the church in order to find God. I had to leave the church so that I could really get close to God, because the church was filled with so much contradiction and contrivement and legalism and dogma and stigma and all of these things. And it's almost like it's a place where you go to turn off your brain and just accept whatever's being said to you and run with it, rather than devoting the time to critical thinking, that, to see, does this make sense? And to understand, to take a second look. I know we come from a history. Our ancestors handed down certain ideas and beliefs and concepts to us about God, about Christianity, about, what it means to be saved and all these things like that. But they were handing down to us what was handed down to them, what was handed down to those, what was handed down to those, which initially came from those who owned our ancestors, and so of course taught us to be servile and subservient and obsequious and meek and mild and dependent and victims, to see ourselves as victims, rather than seeing ourselves as the divine expression of God, a unique, powerful, individual animation of God within the earth. And so that is being perpetrated and continued forward within the church, within the Christian world, this idea of us being so dependent, like what God has created is a nation and a world of dependents who are crippled and can only pray and worship and fast and wait for Jesus to come and fix it. And if he don't fix it, well, he don't fix it now. He'll fix it when he come back and take us home, because after a while, by and by, we gonna go on off into heaven, and there'll be no more goodbyes, and every day gonna be Sunday, and so on and so forth. And in the meantime, the world is falling apart, and our young people are falling apart. And the people, not just young and old, are falling apart and not seeing any results. And the very definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expecting that you're going to get a different outcome. We have been repeating the same things for centuries now. And getting the same result, and yet for whatever reason we can't seem to make the connection that maybe we need to shift and do something else wrong. Something else a different way, because what we're doing is wrong. It's not really helping or impacting or empowering the very people that we say that we're to be spiritual leaders to and mentors to and to pour into them. And rather than helping, Christianity, I'll say it again, is becoming an existential threat. It is doing more harm than, let me say, Christianity in its present form, modern Christianity. Like I said at the beginning, in its infancy, its original intent, twofold: to reconnect people with God, and consequently remind them of their own divinity. That was it. All this other stuff has been piled on. Don't do this, don't do that, don't go here, don't think that way, don't behave this way. You can't have this, you can't do that. Don't you wear this, don't you look like this, don't you talk like this, better not whine, better not pout, better not cry, better not be back. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming. Jesus Christ is coming to town. It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Bishop, I know you sitting there, man. Come on. I know you got something to say.
I'm just really I'm intrigued about what you're saying, because I can see I see your point. I understand that, especially when you was talking earlier about that manipulation and control, which we know is another form of witchcraft. So we definitely have to be careful with that. But I'm always concerned. I really was wanted to be quiet because I really wanted to hear. I want to hear you tell us, how do we move forward? How do we progress Christianity moving forward? What do we need to do to, per se, better equip the people to let us know our divine purpose?
Well, that's a very good question. That's something I wanted to try and arrive to as a collective. And those of you who are watching, please, add your comments. I can see your comments as they come up on the screen. I really want you to participate. I certainly have some ideas about what we can do and how we can begin to change the trajectory where Christianity is concerned, where the people are concerned. Okay. One, that's Diana, says that I used to feel like a puppet. Well, much of Christianity can make you feel that way. It definitely can. Leon says, that's a good question, Bishop. I was thinking the same thing. How do we move forward? Mm-hmm. Well, okay, we can definitely talk solutions. Here's the thing. From my perspective, if Christianity is going to survive as a viable and vital part of humanity, then there has to be a complete and total reformation, real reformation. Mm-hmm. Not these fake, we're going to come together and have a meeting and shout and holler and fall out. And bring in a bunch of preachers and have several nights of preaching and sling some oil around and tell everybody, God getting ready to raise this one up, that one up, da. There has to be a reformation from the ground up, which entails having the courage to ask the correct questions, to re-examine what we have always thought, always believed, always taught, what we have accepted and embraced as true. We have to have the courage to ask the question, because I certainly know this to be absolutely true. And that is that truth can stand under the scrutiny and the questioning and the examination of any person and still remain true. If it can't be questioned, then it's not true. If it can't be questioned, it's being protected by fear. Fear that people might discover the truth and recognize that what they've been told is not the truth. Secondly, you gotta have leaders who have, and I say courage again because it's necessary, the courage to ask those questions, to listen, to learn, to research, to grow, and then come back and say, you know what? I was wrong. I taught this, I said this, because at the time I firmly believed it, but I have come to understand that is not the case. Anytime you become a fundamentalist about anything, whether it's about Christianity or Islam or Buddhism or Hinduism or any organized religion, you are setting yourself up for a failure and a trap, and you become tethered and tied to the parameters of that particular religion. But God is ubiquitous in its existence. That is, God cannot be caged in, boxed in. You can't confine God to a book. You can't confine God to a religion. You can't confine God to a particular ideology. God is ubiquitous in his existence. It is infinite. And so when we try and confine him and say, well, you got to be saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, a part of the Christian understanding of God, otherwise you are lost, that is small. It is diminishing who God really is. Because Christianity's only been around for a few millennia. So if that is the case, then all the people before it was initiated are lost. And clearly that's not the case. Clearly that is not the case. We have to be willing to question and re-examine what we believe, what we accept as true. We have to be willing to question the Bible. Yes, we have to be able to question the Bible and start to look at it for what it is, as a collection of historical documents written by men inspired. Some of them by God, some of them not by God. I can always, tell when I'm talking to someone who has really done research and really has, and some who is just going by what they've heard, because they'll say, well, everything in that Bible was written by God, it's God breathed. It absolutely was not. Absolutely was not. There are literally thousands of mundane parts of the Bible that have nothing to do with your spiritual growth or development. One that I often use is in John, 1 John, where John is writing and he says, oh, when you get ready to come visit me, make sure you bring me some pencil and paper and my coat because it's cold. What that got to do with the Holy Ghost and God and Jesus and salvation? Nothing. It's a human saying, these are the things that I need for you to bring me. That's not the word of God. That's the word of a man who's in prison who needs some supplies. So, that's what I'm saying. When I talk about a reformation, we got to be willing to question the doctrines, question the ideology, question the books and the Bible that we hold so sacred, and begin to really look for real, authentic truth. Is it true? Is it true? It's amazing that we have tried, and then we try and enforce upon others to live by a set of standards, ideas, and beliefs that are based in ancient history and that have been tampered with through time. That's not a something I'm just guessing about. That is a proven fact. That is a proven historical fact. That the Bible that we have now is a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. That's a fact. That's a fact. That the books that we hold sacred were put together by a Nicene council under the leadership of a pope and a king that had a specific agenda. So it eliminated certain books and certain writings and said they were not sacred because they didn't support the agenda of the Catholic Church and Constantine, who wanted to solidify and consolidate both religion and government together in one place. That's a historical fact. And yet we think we can put all of this confidence into this book that it is inerrant, absolutely correct. If it's in there, then it's God said it and it's right. And it's foolhardy and it's dangerous. It is dangerous. There's a text in Hebrews that said that at a time of our ignorance, God winked because we didn't know any better. But now that we have come to a place, we are in this age of information and understanding, then there is no excuse for ignorance anymore. There is absolutely no excuse for ignorance. None whatsoever. So I'm sorry. I see your comments, y'all. I'm coming right now. Okay. Lakevia Clark says, stop preaching and teaching everything in the Bible as literal, because it's not. That's absolutely true. Need preachers and teachers to research the origins and the foundation and the understanding of the intent behind the author. Boy, that's what's called exegesis in theological seminaries. But in fact, it's just good common sense. You do that, you do exegesis on your own conversations. Somebody come and bring you something, and you go, wait a minute, who said that? And what were the circumstances of them saying that? And why did they say that? Who were they directing it to? That's all exegesis is. You go back to the original intent so that you can find out what was meant by the statement. Because it's a fact that depending upon the context of the text, it will determine the meaning of what's being said. And you can't get that from just reading the page. I can say to my friend, Bishop McBride, man, you crazy. We friends. We can say that jokingly. We laughing about it. But if somebody was just sitting and writing out a transcript of what we said, they would say, and he said to him, he was crazy. He accused him of being mentally ill and losing his mind, because crazy means in the Greek and the Hebrew that, you are lost your... No, that wasn't the intent at all. But because you weren't there, you don't know the context, then you impose your own context upon it and make it say something that it really didn't mean. What's my next one here? Delana. Whoa, wow. Many old school pastors, leaders do want to be questioned. Oh, I think you mean don't want to be questioned due to not knowing the answers to give. Self-accountability is key, and having the ability to want the truth, to teach the truth, and stop telling people to not learn in their own understanding as they lean to theirs. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna think that you mean you stop telling people not to lean to their own understanding as they, meaning the leaders, are leaning to theirs. And if I misconstrue what you were saying, please put it in the comments. Correct me. I think that's what you meant to put in there. Please correct me if I made it wrong. I know when you're typing fast, you can sometimes make some mistakes. Okay.
But I think you exegeted that well.
Okay. And there's some validity to what she's saying.
I understand what she's saying.
A lot of pastors who don't like to be questioned. They don't want to be questioned, because when you start questioning them, it puts pressure on them to actually have to come up with a real answer. Mm-hmm. Instead of just saying, well, the Bible say, Reverend Cutthroat say, my mama used to tell me, okay, but give me the historical context of what you're saying. Give me some proof that this is true. And so there's a lot of validity in that statement. That is a part of the Reformation that I'm saying. Some of the things that we see going on right now, some of the recent events, and I'm not going to get into the details because I don't want to get in the middle of their whole kerfuffle that's going on, okay? But the whole, robbery that took place in the church there in New York, and then what has been the general response from the public and from a lot of the church public has just been so revealing, not of the players that are involved, of the church and its mindset. It's absolutely insane. And like I said, it's not one-sided. I'm talking from our perspective because I'm a black man who's been raised in Christianity, but We are in just as much trouble when we look across the aisle at what's happening in evangelical Christianity and all of these super saints that y'all will put on a pedestal like Paula White and Kenneth Copeland and all these other folks like that. Now they showing you that we don't care about y'all. Oh, I almost, I forgot I'm on Facebook. Ninjas.
Wow.
Don't care nothing about y'all ninjas. Be happy that we let y'all have a little bit of Jesus because we brought him to you. We run this thing. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me keep going. I got a lot of comments. I'm so glad. Let's keep going. Okay. Teresa says, so what do people think is going to happen to anyone that doesn't identify as Christian? Well, I'll tell you, you know exactly what they think. They're going to hell.
They're going to hell. Yeah, they're going to hell.
They're going to hell. You're not a Christian. You don't follow my particular way of connecting with God. You're going to hell. You go and 99.9% of the people who say that have absolutely no clue what that word hell even means in the Bible. They have imagined this place under the ground, this torture chamber with a superintendent called Satan that's going to be there to torture you for all of eternity. First of all, what kind of sadistic, masochistic God are you serving that would do something like that? This God who is love, and yet now he has created this torture chamber for everybody that neglects to worship him. That even says that he's insecure. That's something really wrong. That he's so insecure that's like, you don't worship me? Okay, I'm gonna kill you then. I'm gonna kill you and throw you in this torture chamber. I'm gonna torture you for all of eternity. I ain't gonna give you a chance to repent. I'm telling you to forgive, but I ain't gonna forgive you. That's nonsense. So you know exactly what they say. They say you going to hell. And then it is absolutely ludicrous. It is the epitome of arrogance to say that if you don't believe what I believe, then you are headed to damnation. Really? Really? How arrogant is that? Really? So you just had the luck. Oh Lord, no, I'm messed up again, Christians. Don't like that word luck. Don't be saying no luck now. The manifest destiny of being born into a place, into a country, into a family, community, a culture, and an environment where you would be steeped in Christianity and not in one of these other heathen nations where they would be steeped in a different religion, who also believe that if you don't believe like them, you lost. So now, who's right? Everybody got their own little cultic corner and saying, you got to adapt to our way of belief, our way of living, our way of thinking. Are you going to be damned? That is the epitome of arrogance and stupidity. And I'm not saying that in a judgmental way, because guess what? For years, I preached the same thing. I believed it, I preached it, I hollered it, I hooped it, I taught it. I was sending more folk to hell than you could even shake a stick at. You're going to hell, you're going to hell. Almost every other message, I was preaching about hell. Okay? So I certainly understand it. So I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying it's time that we awaken. I did an entire series when I was pastoring Antioch Life Enrichment Center down in Fitzgerald called LSD, Lucifer, Satan, and the Devil. LSD, a hallucinogenic drug that causes you to see things that aren't really there. and I talked in detail about what those terms mean and who Lucifer was. Lucifer is not the same as Satan. Satan not the same as the devil. And talked about each one of them and where the origin of those words were and what they meant and what is meant when they are used analogously within scriptural text. And you should have seen the shock on some people's faces when they were like, oh my God. Okay? So that's a really, really good comment and question. Let me get, Lord, y'all pouring in now. Okay, I like this. Hold on. Chris King says, we're asking the entire body to rethink Christianity. Unfortunately, they believe that they have too much to lose if they seek the truth other than what they're doing right now. Chris, man, you opened a can of worms right there, bro. That's right. We are asking the entirety of Christianity to rethink, re-examine, to reconfigure their thought process. And you are absolutely right. The resistance to change and evolution and growth and enlightenment has been a part of Christianity for millennia, because at its core, it is used as a vehicle of manipulation and control. And so if you start questioning the vehicle, then you lose control. And you need control in order to accomplish your agenda. That's a fact. And I can't even tell you how many, I know preachers. I talk to preachers all the time, been a preacher for over 47 years now. And I know some very learned, intelligent preachers who absolutely know better and will say, but man, look, if I say something like that, man, everybody will leave my church. My tithe will go down to nothing. I won't be able to sustain myself. So what do? We keep giving them a full diet of what they want to hear in the first place. God getting ready to bless you. God getting ready to open doors. God getting ready to turn it around. God getting ready to lift you up. God going to elevate you. I see a new house. I see a new car. God say He's punishing you because of this, and the curse of God is on your life. And if you don't do this, then God going to get you for that. He going to get you, and you going to hell, and you going to hell. And if you don't, and because that whip, along with the carrot, has worked effectively for years, but now it's not working so good. And people are starting to wake up, and they're starting to walk away. And the narrative coming from the preacher corner is folk falling away from God. Nobody don't want to live right no more. People don't love holiness no more. No, they don't love foolishness. That's what they're walking away from. So you're absolutely right. They feel like they have way too much to lose. Way too much to lose. I thank God I have come to the place and the age where I could give two flying flips about what people think about me. Man, look, you going to support me? You're not. You going to like me? You're not. Whatever. It doesn't matter. As long as I can stand on what I know to be the absolute truth, because I've done the research, I'm good. Okay, let me keep going here. Where did I leave? Chris, Diana says, right under him, no one wants to be the first to break the ice. We have no leaders that are willing to stand alone, and they are in fear that no one will follow. That may very well be true. There's a lot of truth to that statement, but here's the thing. From my perspective, any leader, whether they are a pastor or a guru or an imam or whatever, in whatever religion, that wants to keep you a follower is not a leader. I don't want you dependent on me for the rest of your life. I don't want you following me into perpetuity. My job is to empower you, to give you the tools necessary for you to curate and create the kind of life that you want, and then send you on your way so that you can go and empower somebody else. I can keep you sitting up under me for 25, 30 years, but I need you around for that long. I hadn't even kept a wife for 25, 30 years. I'm being funny, but that's true though. I haven't. It's like, come on, no. That's really what it's about, to empower you. I don't need you to follow me forever. You don't need to follow nobody forever. Okay. What's the name person here? Laura. Bishop, you gotta say something, man. Jump in.
I'm just
They would not want anyone to make them little or not for not knowing the answers. Yeah, there's some ego involved. Look, you got to have a certain amount of ego to be a pastor in the first place. You got to actually think that you know more than what the people know. Otherwise, why are you up there? Okay. So there's a certain amount. Go ahead, Bishop. You were getting ready to say something.
No, I'm just saying, I'm just, I guess, everybody have a different perspective or a different view on different things, because I'm looking at some of the questions and I'm saying, I'm wondering, like, where some of these people been?
Elaborate on that. What do you mean?
When I'm saying, what kind of leadership have you sat under? Because I know for me, I'm noticing that if not careful, we have a lot of witches and warlocks that are in churches now as leaders. And when I see stuff like this, I'm immediately drawn to the fact of witches and warlocks and spiritual wickedness when you start talking about manipulation and control, because that's not of God. So I like what you said when you talked about empowering the people. I don't want nobody following me forever either. I want to empower you and equip you so that you can go forth and do just what you said. Procreate, is that the word you use?
Yeah, well, create, and curate your
to
own
reproduce.
life.
Yeah, to reproduce.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what it's about. But when I'm just looking at some of these comments and I'm saying it seems like they've been involved with a lot of insecure leaders, because I'm sitting there saying I'm a leader. I'm a newly appointed bishop and consecrated bishop, but there's stuff that I don't know. That's one reason why I got on this live tonight, from a perspective, so that I can get a different view, so that I can bring an awareness of something that I may not be aware of. So it was not so much for me to come on to comment, to debate, or to throw in my 2 cents, but it was for me to get a different perspective. Because we've been friends so long, I already knew that it was not going to be ABC 1, 2, 3. I already knew that. I already knew that. So that's why I wanted to come on. So okay, let's see how these wheels are turning. What can I absorb from this? What can I pull away from this? And what can I learn from this? So that's why I'm here.
I appreciate that, man. You honor me. I appreciate that. Okay.
And let me just say, and no leader should be ashamed if they don't know. If you don't know something, you just don't know. That gives you the opportunity. First thing you need to say is acknowledge the fact, hey, I don't know. I don't have an answer for this, but give me a little bit and I'll get back with you. That was one of my biggest fears of pastoring.
That's smart right there.
Yeah, because
that's smart. You'd be surprised at how many pastors are afraid to say, I don't know.
I will tell them in a minute, I don't know. Let me research and let me get back with it, because I'd rather not tell you something than to tell you something wrong. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to be held accountable for what I've told you. And especially if you're one of them members that go back, my pastor said, I strike you out. I put an X on you. When you talking to me, you say, my pastors, I said, they don't know nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Because you're just mimicking. You've been a parrot now.
Right.
You're repeating what you heard somebody else say.
Yes, and that puppet, what the young lady talked about.
That's
that
right.
Puppet on the string.
That's it.
No, you got to know.
That's it. I used to tell them when I was pastoring the church there in Fitzgerald, Georgia, don't just take my word for nothing. If you hear me say anything,
Don't just take my word. Man, go do your own research.
Right.
Study for yourself. Go and look it up. And if you come to a different conclusion, great. Share it with the rest of us so that we can all learn. We can all grow. That's what it's about. Nobody has all the answers.
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. Who's next here? Leon laughing. What you laughing about, Leon? Okay. Look at how the United Methodists just split because of doctrinal differences. I thought we were all ready. I thought we were all
reading.
Reading. That's what he meant. Yeah. Exegesis.
Yes.
We were all reading the same Bible. Yes. I'm going to tell you right now, church splits happen because people want control. That's all that is. People want control. I think this way. Okay, well then I'm going to go my way.
You're going to split up.
We're going to do our own thing then. Okay? Rather than coming together to reason together and do the research and say, okay, well, wait a minute, hold on. What if we're both wrong? Why don't we just get together, do some research, and let's see, search for the answer without the preconceived agenda, or I'm trying to prove that I'm right.
Right.
Okay? I have come to the conclusion that most people don't want truth. They want proof that what they already believe is true.
I agree.
They don't really want truth. They just want you to substantiate what they already believe. And if you don't, then it's like, okay, well, I'm through with you then. No, I can't talk. I can't deal with you. My cutoff game is strong. I can't deal with you. Okay? So, yeah. And then the whole idea, here's the thing. Chris, let me go a little bit further. I think I already kind of touched on this a bit about all reading from the same Bible. You need to read something other than the Bible. The Bible is not the end all and be all of everything. Read something other than the Bible. Read some books about the Bible. Read some other historical narratives. All of the things that you heard me saying at the beginning of this broadcast about the Inquisition, about the Crusades, that's not in the Bible. Those things aren't in the Bible. They're not mentioned one time in the Bible, but they happen. Okay? It is not the end all and be all. Everything is not in the Bible. It's not. You ride airplanes every day. You don't see airplanes in the Bible? You understand what I'm saying? There are things that are not in the Bible because the book was never meant to be this eternal vanguard for all of humanity. It is a book with a collection of historical documents and writings from particular people that was compiled with a particular agenda in mind, but it is still good, very good. I do not discount the Bible at all. I absolutely do not. I take the Bible seriously. I just don't take it literally. It is good for principles and practices and patterns. And that's what it was designed to do, to give us insight through principles, practices, and patterns that are told in stories and narratives and allegories and accounts and testimonies of what others have seen, experienced, and heard. That's what it was about. That's what the Quran is about. That's what the Bhagavad Gita is about. That's what every sacred text, the Egyptian Book of the Dead is about. Every single one of them is a collection of narratives and allegories and stories and eyewitness accounts that give us principles, practices, and patterns that we can use to empower us to create the life that we want. That's what it's about. It's not a rule book. That's part of what's gotten us into the quagmire that we find ourselves in now. And how Christianity has become an existential threat. It is doing more harm than good. It is a sad commentary that so many people are reconnecting with God and really coming into their own and discovering their own divinity outside of the church, which is what it was supposedly designed to do. Because they get sick of being lost in all of the minutia of all the rules and the regulations and the dogma and the legalism and the doctrine. And then you got all the other programs and this program, that program, the other program, this program going on. And I need you to give to this and give to that and give to this and give to that and give to this, that, Creflo Dollar just recently created a whole firestorm in the church because he spoke out about tithing. He went from one extreme to the other extreme. He went from the extreme of, if you don't tithe, you're going to be cursed and you ain't going to have nothing. You're going to always be broke. And then went to the other extreme and said that tithing is wrong. It's not biblical. It's not right. When it was neither one of those things. That it was simply tithing is just one means, a vehicle through which you can express your generosity, which is the very expression of love. Just one. Okay? You're not damned if you don't, and you can be blessed if you do, but it is not the end all and be all. It's not wrong, and it's not a command or a demand. It is a one way through which you can give. It is actually the floor and not the ceiling. That's all it is. But because people tied to a legalistic ideology where a book, an ancient, antiquated book is concerned, using antiquated language and words that we don't even use anymore, and that 99% of the folk in church don't even know what it means. Okay, so absolutely. Oh man, okay, I'm falling behind. Let me get the rest of y'all in here. Laura says they would hide in the corner with their hands folded instead of asking thought-provoking questions. Absolutely, man. Look, I grew up in the church, and I didn't just get to where I am now. Man, I've been questioning things for a few decades, but I questioned them to myself. Because I, just like other pastors, was like, man, you don't want to say nothing about that. You don't want to, no, Lord, you'll lose your church. You lose your ministry. Folks stop giving. Man, don't mess up your check, man. Are you crazy? No, don't you do that now. You keep that to yourself. Yeah, keep that in your notes, partner. You ask yourself, ask God those questions. Don't be bringing that up with people. People close doors. They won't invite you to come preach. They won't let you come do revival. They won't let you come do conferences. And I had to finally arrive to the place of courage of saying, I am going to ask these questions out loud. I'm going to answer these questions out loud. And I am going to live in what I know to be true, even if it costs me everything. I will never forget some years back. And I think one of them might be on here. When I did this wedding for two women, one of them that I had known for ages. I used to pastor her when I was pastoring down in Florida. They pastored her, pastored her mother, the whole family. And she had fallen in love with this other woman. They were going to get married, asked me if I would do the wedding, and I came down and did the wedding. We took pictures and everything else like that. The pictures got put on Facebook, and Lord, woo! I was sent to every kind of hell you could imagine. I was called every kind of devil and witch and cult leader and backslidden and some of everything by everybody. I had conferences, revivals, and preaching engagements scheduled. I was booked and busy. And overnight, no, bro. No, we don't need you. No, we don't need you to come. No, we don't want you coming. We don't want you coming. Now, here's the dirty little secret. Here's the dirty little secret. I had long since come to the understanding that homosexuality, lesbianism was not a sin. It was not something that God was going to kill you for. It wasn't an abomination. while I was still doing revivals and crusades. But guess what? I knew where I was going. So why would I go into this church and preach something that I know that they don't agree with, that they can't handle, that they're not in that place? So I respect the leader of that church, respect that church enough to preach along the lines of where their understanding was. But now that I became public about it, I was persona non grata. No, we can't touch you. Can't deal with you. No, 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 no. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. It was a beautiful wedding too. And I love the two of them. And their marriage is more successful than a lot of the heterosexual marriages that I know of. They're doing wonderful. Wonderful. Okay? So you're right. And so a lot of people do shy away and hide in the corner, and they won't ask questions, and they won't challenge the system. They won't buck the system because the system is strong. The system can chew you up and spit you out. The system can shut down all your engagements. The system can cause people to leave your church and cause you to even have to shut down your church if you don't stay toe the line. That's a fact. That's a fact. Okay? Michael says the Bible needs some updates and software patches. Lord. It really doesn't. The Bible is perfectly fine the way it is. It's our understanding that needs some updating and software patches. It's the operating system, not the Bible. That's pretty good right there. Okay? Jesus can come to enlighten them, and they will call him a devil and open the door and let him out. I think so. Okay? Kiwi said, you sick of hearing that? What you sick of hearing, Kiwi? I don't know what you mean. You got to be more specific. What you sick of hearing? Okay? I don't see because these are like ambiguous comments. Whatever. I like him. Okay. Chris says, I absolutely agree with you, but most Christians do not use other writings to find their answer. That's absolutely true. Well, most people haven't been taught to really do critical thinking or research or study. You just study the Bible, and you don't really study that. You just listen to what pastors say. And if the pastor said, then that's it. If the bishop said, the apostle said, if the prophet come along and prophesied, then that's just it. So, honestly, this is not factual. This is Isaac Miles' opinion. Christians are some of the most ignorant people on the planet. We don't read, we don't study, we don't research, we don't include science or math or any of the other major academics in our learning process. We just hoop and holler and spit and fall out. I lost Bishop. I lost him. Maybe he'll pop back up in a minute. Okay? That's right. She said, Josephus had plenty to say that happened that wasn't in the Bible. And that's why people study Josephus to this day. Although he has his agenda as well. Josephus said some stuff that was clearly made up. Doesn't match up with history at all. Okay? They had you going to hell in a bit. Yes, they did. They were sitting in gasoline draws, set the bins on fire, bro. They were, they were just sending me to every kind of hell they could imagine. They created a whole new hell just to put me in. Okay? That's it right there. Better understanding of the Bible. That's right. If you believe your truth is true, why would you get mad if someone else has a different opinion? Let that's what you meant. It doesn't believe it doesn't change what you believe. That's true. Okay? If I absolutely am sold on the idea that my name is Isaac Miles, you can come up and tell me my name is James Heathrow all you want to. And I don't care if you believe it. You can shout it from the rooftop. You can tell me I'm crazy and I'm going to hell for believing otherwise. That's fine. It doesn't change the fact that I know what my name is. Okay? So why would I get mad? And if it's working for you, listen, man, I know people who are Hindus, I know Buddhists, I know people who are Muslim, I know some Jewish people, I know some Taoists, I know some people who are agnostic and some who are atheists, who are absolutely wonderful people. They're wonderful people. Wonderful. And who am I to say to them that because they don't embrace what I embrace, that somehow they are wrong and I am the only one that's right, and that they must convert to what I believe or they are completely lost? How arrogant. How stupid. That was way back when you were saying something about preachers when they say we've fallen away and going to hell. Yeah, all that stuff. That's true. That's true. That's what you were saying when the preacher, that's what you was talking about before when you was saying, when I was saying about preachers saying that we all falling away, we all going to hell. Yeah, and I was one of them. I could send you to hell with the best of them. I had at least good 10, 15 hellfire and brimstone messages that I could just put on repeat, pull them up and preach them in every revival, every service, every conference. Yes, sir. I was going to make sure that I sent at least 75% of the church to hell. And the other 25% was the chosen remnant of God. What kind of foolishness? Okay. Can I get a better understanding of what Bishop was saying, that there are a lot of witches and warlocks in the church? Honestly, I get thrown off by that. I also get triggered with the name calling. Okay, he's not on here, so we can't ask him. But because I know him and I know we kind of came up the same way, I know what he means. I don't necessarily ascribe to the whole idea of witches, warlocks, and magicians and whatever else going on within the church. And that if a person is a witch, they're a bad person. I know some people who practice witchcraft who are good people. They're not bad people. It's just called witchcraft rather than Christianity, but Christianity has some things in it that we would call witchcraft. I can show you scriptures in the Bible where they practice making potions and casting spells. Joseph did it. Moses did it. I can show you a number of places. So, but I think that's what he was basically. But what he's basically saying is people who are controlling and manipulative, because it's based upon that text that says that rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and that witchcraft is supposedly defined as control and manipulation. And so I think he was basically saying that you got a lot of witches and warlocks in the church, but saying you have a lot of controlling and manipulative people. Just using that terminology to be synonymous with controlling and manipulative. I don't think he means people who are like doing incantations and spells and bubble, toils and trouble. I don't think that's what he means. Okay. Yes, you were theories. I hear you. I was sending everybody to hell. Thank you. Okay, I'm glad you said. Okay, I got it. Yeah. Okay, and from that perspective, he's correct. There are a lot of manipulative people, controlling. A lot of the a lot of modern Christian leaders, black and white church, are narcissistic. Some of them are narcissists, but the majority of them certainly practice some narcissistic behaviors, have some narcissistic behavior as they practice narcissism, even if they are not a narcissist. They certainly practice narcissism. Okay? And that's just a fact. And control and manipulation is birthed out of narcissism, that maliciousness. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen that are listening to me, okay, Christianity is spiraling out of control because of these modern ideologies and its rigidity in old, antiquated beliefs and ideas. And it is having an effect. Roe v. Wade was not a political decision. It was a Christian nationalist decision. Every one of those Supreme Court judges that supported the overturn of Roe v. Wade did so based upon Christian ideology, not based upon the law, not based upon precedent, not based upon the Constitution, based upon their Christian faith. Do you hear what I'm saying? You tuck away the rights of these based upon your Christian faith. But remember that it's that same Bible and those same Christian beliefs that caused them to support slavery and Jim Crow and nihilism and to support the separation of blacks and whites where marriage was concerned. And certainly gay rights are concerned. And contraception is concerned, which is all being on the table right now. They feel no compunction about taking away your voting rights because in their mindset, what would Jesus do? He don't want those darkies voting. He don't want them having power. They're not supposed to be superior to us. Do you realize that the KKK is a Christian organization? Why do you think they're burning crosses? Every one of them believe that they are doing the work of God, of Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior. Hello? Those same people who killed Martin Luther King, who killed Malcolm X, who sick dogs and sprayed water hoses, well, these were people who were good Christians, following what they believed the Bible said. Same people. And contrary to popular belief, that wasn't a long time ago. We are 50 some odd years removed. I'm older than that. Many of you on here are older than that. We're not that far removed. Some of your favorite preachers like Kenneth Copeland were a part of that racist past. Well, you think they stopped being racist? Oh, no, man. Ooh, I'm gonna really get in some trouble now, Lord. Okay? Mike says, how can we make a book that reads slaves obey your masters and these kinds of people are an abomination relevant for today? That's a question. I see what you put down there. That you're right. And there are parts of the Bible that are so antiquated they need to just be tossed out. Period. They don't apply. They do not apply. There is no application for servants obey your masters in 2021. leave it to the Republicans and especially Donald Trump. There will be, because they're certainly trying to get us back to that place. But that's a whole nother conversation right there. I'm trying, Kamoria. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. All right, we've been on for over an hour and a half. And I don't think Bishop McBride is going to be able to make it back. So, and my other guest didn't show up. I'm not going to call his name because I'm not going to put him out there like that, but he didn't show up. I was expecting him to pop up on screen and join the conversation. Maybe you're sitting in the audience, bro, but you let me down. You told me you were coming on. But, okay. We have to understand why we taught. Oh, sorry, let me put it up. Leonard says we have to understand why we taught what we taught, how we taught, how we are taught the way we are taught. Exactly. We were taught what to think instead of being taught how to think. A real leader teaches you how to think. A manipulator teaches you what to think. Woo! Did you get what I just said? A manipulator, somebody who wants to control you, tells you what to think. A real leader is going to teach you how to think so that you can independently come to your own conclusion and make a conscious decision for yourself. I was listening to my brother Bishop Broadnex earlier today, and he was saying something that's absolutely true. It's like, well, Christians are just mean. And God knows they are. Just outright mean, hateful. You want to ever see some of the most mean, nasty, snide, terrible remarks? All you got to do is get into a debate or a disagreement with one of the Christians on Facebook, on Twitter, on social media. You will see the claws come out immediately. And you'll be every kind of devil, slut, hole, no good, backslidden, cult leading, crazy. Oh, God, they just mean. Mean. And how can people who say they have discovered this Jesus who was all about love and God who is love be so freaking mean and nasty, hateful and trifling, spiteful and bitter? Just because somebody disagrees with you. Okay. Woo. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Got it. All right. So Bishop had to step out for church. And so he wasn't able to stay with us through the whole conversation. But I am so glad that he came. I want you to know how much I appreciate you, bro. I really do. Absolutely appreciate your willingness to come on and be a part of the conversation. There's so much more that we need to talk about, so much more that we need to cover. But it's already been like an hour and 40 minutes almost. And so this is way longer than what we normally stay on. And I knew it would be. And I don't want to continue to keep you. I want to thank all of you that tuned in and participated, especially in the conversation. Let's keep the conversation going. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk to your family, your friends, your loved ones. Have these hard conversations. Ask your pastor some questions. Stop sitting up there scared. Man, ask questions. And if they can't answer, then go get your own answers. You live in the information age. You can Google, you can research, you can study. Go find out. Okay? But there has got to be an awakening. There's got to be a reformation that takes place in Christianity specifically we are going to see a cataclysmic outcome because Christianity is influencing our government. It's influencing academia now. You do realize this whole idea of trying to whitewash history is coming from people who proclaim Christianity and they believe that this is the way of God. It's influencing media, it's influencing entertainment, it's influencing everything. We need to return to the purity of Christianity, which is about connecting with God and consequently rediscovering your own divinity. All right. Anyway, let me wrap it up, and we will see you back here on Sunday at 9 a.m. Oh, no, wait. What's today? Tuesday? It's Tuesday. So we'll see you Thursday at 7:30, and then Sunday at 9 a.m. Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Sunday, 9 a.m. If you'd like to give or contribute, you'd like to support, show your gratitude, you can do so by using what's on your screen right now. You don't have to. It's not a mandatory thing, but if you just want to, if you feel like you want to say, well, hey, thank you for having this conversation, then you can do so by sending a Cashapp or sending something to Zelle. I would greatly appreciate your generosity. Thank you, each and every one of you, for your support. Thank you for coming out and being a part of the conversation. All right, you guys have a good night. I'm tired and I'm hungry, so I'm going to go eat. And then I'm going to bed. I know that's a bad combination, but that's what I'm going to do. In the Mr. Me land, I'm going to eat and go to bed. All right. Okay. All the comments are going. All right, someone asked, Diane asked, so where do we go from here to get people to take another look at what's going on? Okay. That's a whole nother realm, a whole nother piece of the conversation that we'll pick up on Thursday. How about that? Thursday, 7:30 p.m. And I'm going to save you a question, and it'll be the first one that I answer. All right? All right, guys. Have an absolutely wonderful, stupendous night. Thank you again for tuning in.